The Raiders just couldn't really get it going last night, and maybe it's because the Chargers are pretty damn good. You think about the Lions, how they couldn't get it going against the Packers. Well, maybe it's because the Packers are pretty damn good, and it may just be that the Chargers are a team that really is ready to try to take control of the AFC West.
I mean, that's what it felt like last night. And you said the way a game opens sometimes is like, it's not the end of the game. It's the first series, early in the game. But the way Geno tried to fire that ball in and Gilman right on top of it. And I thought when you watch the Chargers on film, the one thing they do better than anybody is they're going to keep everything in front of them. And when they trigger and they go, they are flying, whether it's Derwin James, whether it's Gilman, whether it's Henley. I mean, still outside that corner. Like, these guys were running up, either tackling or breaking on the ball. And I thought when you watch week one against the Raiders, New England, a lot of five-man pressures. They were aggressive, and when they were aggressive, Geno took advantage of it. He fired the ball in different places. He did those things, and I said, I think it's going to be hard for the Raiders against the Chargers because they're not going to be aggressive blitzing guys. They're going to have guys watching the quarterback ready to break downhill, and it's going to be hard to get the ball down the field, and that's what it was. When Geno tried to attempt passes down the field, even this throw right here, and I know Orlowski talked about it, and it's like a punt. But when you're playing football, there's a part of the game on defense. When you get an interception, it charges you up. And I thought, Tony Jefferson making that play, that was a big play just to get the defense, hey, we're still dominating. We're still doing this. So, again, this Chargers defense, they allowed their offense to kind of find their rhythm. Early on, Herbert struggled to complete pass. I think he started 1 of 5. That didn't bother his defense. They just kept going out there attacking Geno. And, it was impressive. And I really like what the Chargers did on defense. And I got to give credit. We started this season Hall of Fame game, Chargers and Lions, and we had to talk about Herbert. And I was one of the people who said, I'm tired of hearing about Herbert's talent and what he could be. It's time to deliver. It's time for him to go do those things. And I questioned, could he? And so far through the first 2 weeks of the season, he's been the guy that's been the playmaker. When did we think we would watch a game and they wouldn't focus on running the ball and they would just put it in Herbert's hands? That's what they did last night. They were like, the Raiders are up here. They're here to stop the run. We're going to throw it. Herbert, we're going to let it rip. And I thought Greg Roman dialed up some pretty good calls. A deep ball to Johnson was a special call on how they kind of took advantage of a play that they've ran before, but then he came out of it on a deep shot. And I thought Herbert made the right decisions and he played really good ball last night.
Jim Harbaugh has been trying to coax and lure and cajole Justin Herbert into becoming a badass, right? And I had a coach explain this to me. It's now been 8-9 years ago. There are certain quarterbacks that just aren't natural badasses. They aren't natural leaders. They aren't Tom Brady, LFG. They aren't Peyton Manning. They aren't the guys that are just going to show up and take over. You've got to get it to come out of them. You got to get the others to believe, and it just kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I feel like he's turning Justin Herbert, who's kind of a quiet guy. There were concerns coming out of the draft. He's never really left Oregon. How's he going to do if he moves away and he's somewhere else? Just all sorts of weird little things like that, because he's just reserved and he keeps to himself. And he did flash a not-so-subtle middle finger to the cameras on the way in last night. I saw that posted on social media by the Bussin' with the Boys Twitter account, and you can see it. It's not subtle. It's he's just walking, and there's one finger extended, and the other ones aren't, and he's just moving that hand around as he walks. So he's got a little bit of that in him, and you need that, and you can see it in his demeanor. Yeah. I'm big on watching the demeanor of players, because you can't hide how you present yourself to the world in those moments of stress and competition and things are going well or they're not going well, or you're hanging your head. And he seems different this year. Not that he had bad demeanor in the past. He seems to have a different demeanor this year. He caps that play with the leg up on the slide against the the Chiefs in Brazil. He's just got a little more swagger to him, and I think that's just Jim Harbaugh doing everything he can to draw it out of him.
Yeah, and they talked about on the broadcast that he said around this time last year, they were still trying to figure out, and they were worried about, man, are we in the right formation? Do we have the right call here and there? And he said, this year, that's not a thought. Like, everything is just second nature the second year in Greg Roman's offense. And I think that's what we see right now. We see Herbert having ownership of the offense and ownership of the team. There was even a moment last night in the game where he had to take a timeout, and it seemed like somebody was either aligned wrong or he wanted him to do something else. And you could see the way he looked at that person and then walked away and turned away. It was, I'm pissed. And I don't think you need to undress a guy, but there needs to be, hey, like, you're wrong. Like, you need to be out here and be right and not come out here and mess things up. And that was the demeanor I got from him. And I thought that was awesome, because when you're a quarterback on an offense that is led by you and you're one of those guys, everybody else out there, they don't want to let the quarterback down. When I was in New England and we would have like team walkthroughs because maybe it was a short week or, the team had been going at it, a long road trip. On defense, we'd be walking through. The receivers would be running. Like, it would be expected for them to run so Brady could get his timing, even though everybody else was having a walkthrough. But those guys didn't want to let Tom down. They didn't want to let their quarterback down. And I think Herbert has pulled that out of these guys right now, where you can tell they don't want to let him down no matter what happens in the game. It seems like their standard is getting right back to where they need to get to so that he can be like, good job. And that is what you want in a team. And a lot of credit goes to Herbert, the way he's been playing. He's always been a tough guy as far as willing to put his head down and run. I think when people talk about, like you just said, being a badass or being a tough guy, it's not that a guy won't do the hard things on the football field. It's some of those other attributes that you can bring that's outside of actually playing. And it seems like Herbert is bringing those this year. And you can see it. There's a difference in how this team is going in and finishing games, especially when you think about how their season ended last year in that playoff game to Houston. It just doesn't feel like that's bothering them, but it feels like they understand and learn from that loss.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.